Welcome to Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Yvonne Wolf. Today, our special guest is Lynda O'Connor. She is a book publicist for O'Connor Communications. Welcome, Lynda.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
Tell us, what is a book publicist?
Okay, a book publicist is an agent that works for the author, and she helps the author sell books. That's in a nutshell, but it's a good description.
And with over 30 years of PR work behind you, how is it different to be a book publicist instead of just regular PR?
Okay, well, PR is book publishers. They specialize in books and authors, and they help get the author and the book in the news. And so the book publicist will help create awareness that the book exists, because otherwise nobody would know. It would sit on the shelf, and that's not very good.
And we have such a changing industry with publishing. Is it different for a large publishing company or a self-published writer to have a publicist work on their behalf?
Well, if you go with a traditional publisher, it's a lot easier, really, because the publisher will spend more money on you. So they put more of a push behind your book. And also, if you get published by a traditional publisher, they will pay you like $30,000. They'll pay you to publish your book. If you publish with a self-publish, you've got to pay $15,000 to have your book published. And as a book publicist, it's easier, really, if you go with if the author gets a traditional publisher like a Random House to publish their book. And the main reason is because you have more credibility, because this like an old line publisher like Random House will be behind you, and so the media respect that. Whereas if you just publish your book with like a self-published, they don't understand. They don't respect that. It doesn't give the same power or the same weight that a traditional publisher would do.
So publishing companies don't hire you then, or can they? Or they?
Publishers have on staff. They do have PR people, but they have to promote like 100 books
at the same time.
So yes, so the best thing that an author can do is to use the publisher in the publishing house, but to absolutely hire an outside agency, because they'll realize that the publisher doesn't give them any time at all, just a little tiny bit, if anything. But they do make mistakes, authors, because they say, oh, my publisher promised me that they're going to give me time, and that they'll help me, promote my book, but they don't.
Yeah.
And they're always disappointed. And then by the time they understand it, it's too late.
Oh, because you have to time all, right? Timing? How do you?
Yes, and because usually an author has like 3 months to make a splash.
I see. The initial.
And then by then, if the author waits for the publishing house to do that, the time sort of evolved. It's sort of out of time. So it's very important, because most authors, they really believe that the publisher is going to help them, and they don't.
So how did you get started in promoting books?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, because my husband, we had a PR firm, and we promoted all kinds of things like lawyers, doctors, even handheld toilet products. But then my husband wrote a book, and his book was called Cuss Control.
Yes.
A complete book on how to curb your cursing. So he wrote this book, Random House published it, and they gave him a little PR, like they started him. They got him in the Today Show. That was the book launch. And then we took over, and my husband and me, and we did all kinds of PR. I mean, we were able to get this book because it was such a funny topic about how to stop swearing, that the media went crazy. And he was on 312 television shows, including Oprah, The View, CNN 3 times, The Early Show, The Today Show, Good Morning America, 890 radio shows across the world.
Wow. And it's a bestseller.
It sold a lot of books.
Yeah.
Sold a lot of books. But you know what? It's like you could never stop. Even though it sold books, you've got to continually think of opportunities to get the book in the news, forever.
I see. So the work never ends.
It never ends, but it's so much fun. I mean, it's fun being in the news. It's fun being on the radio. It's fun seeing yourself in print.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
And that must have been quite a journey.
Yes, it was a journey. You're right. It was a great journey and one I like to repeat many times.
Yes, because now you use those contacts and those experiences, right?
Yes.
To help promote a book maybe from their hometown? Or where do you start the promoting of a author?
Well, the author, that's a good question because you can start in their hometown.
Yes.
But most authors want a national campaign.
Oh.
But
so urban areas.
Yeah, but it depends on the topic of the book. Mm-hmm. If the book talks about the history of Glenview, then of course you want to stay in Glenview.
Yes.
If it talks about explosions, let's say how you create explosions, like say for ISIS, how they do that, then it's maybe a national story.
Right, right.
So it depends on the topic.
How about nonfiction or fiction? Is there two different paths when you promote them?
Yes, because fiction's much harder much harder to promote because you're not really educating the public.
Okay.
In a nonfiction book, you're teaching the reader something.
Right.
Yeah. How to become a good lawyer.
Okay.
Something like that. Well, you're teaching them, but in a novel or in a fiction book, you're just telling a story.
I see.
So the media are more interested in hearing how to educate their readers.
I see.
So that's why nonfiction's always easier. I mean, it's more desirable.
Yeah, biographies and memoirs.
Yes,
they are
because through these people's stories, you're teaching the public how they became famous, what they learned, and what the author learned that they can teach the reader.
And you, as a publicist, aren't you teaching the public about this author?
So we're creating awareness of the book, and we're we're creating, we're telling the story that the author says, and we're trying to get the author into the news by by doing PR, and giving them a message. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing, and that's what PR does. It gives them a message because if Glenview, let's say there's going to be a snowstorm in Glenview, well, maybe City Hall will send out a bulletin to all the people in Glenview about what to do, how to prepare for this snowstorm. Mm-hmm. Let's say put snow tires on your car, stay indoors, maybe
public service message.
Yes, and how to stay safe during a snowstorm. Well, that's the message that they're delivering to the Glenview residents. So we're doing that with an audience of, let's say, in the news. We're telling the story. We're giving a message to the readers as to why they should read this book.
So, when is it okay to self-publish, or when is it time to look for a publisher, a big publisher?
Traditional publisher. Yes. If you're famous, if you're Tom Cruise or Donald Trump, you could almost self-publish because you give speeches, and if you give a speech, you could sell the book in the back of the room.
Yes, you don't need to find a publisher.
You don't, because people will hear about you.
Yes,
and you're famous enough. But everyone else who's not famous, and that's 99 and 9/10% of the people,
right.
They're going to need a publicist. They're going to need to do it through a regular traditional publisher because it's more respectable.
Yes. Yes, and there's so many routes to go, isn't it? So let's see, what are the steps in getting a book out there? Maybe we can
think the
start with
first
that.
thing to do, believe it or not, would be to write a book proposal. And a book proposal is something that actually when you're writing, it will organize your thoughts. And a book proposal is talking about what the book is about, a synopsis, 3 chapters, why this book is needed, what's special about it, how you're going to market the book, because every single book publisher wants to know, well, what's different about, how are you going to market this book? What are you going to do to get it out there so that the readers will hear about it? So that's a book proposal, and that's kind of number one. That's before because
really?
Yeah, This is for a nonfiction book.
Okay.
The book proposal is number one. And then after you write the book proposal, and you can find out how to write it by going to the internet and just Googling how to write a book proposal, or go to the bookstore and look at books on how to write a book proposal. Or Michael Larson is an author who wrote a good book about how to write a book proposal, but that's number one, believe it or not, with a nonfiction book. And number two would be to have an editor look at your book proposal, so there's no mistakes, because there can't be any mistakes. If there's one typo, the literary agent will
reject it.
will reject it.
So how long is a book proposal?
Maybe about 20 pages.
Okay, a 20
pages book proposal.
Version of your book.
And then the third thing to do is to try to find a literary agent to represent you.
I see, already.
Yeah, after the book proposal, after the editors looked at it, then you want to find a literary agent. And then the literary agent will find the publisher.
I see.
And then also you should not only try to find a literary agent, but go to bookstores. Look at other books to see and find a literary agent to see who their literary agent is. Maybe every good book, usually in the front, an author will say, I want to thank my literary agent, Barbara Jones.
Oh.
And then sometimes if your topic is, say Barbara,
same topic,
the same topic, then you might want to look to see at these, who are those agents, and contact them.
Now, I noticed, because I read a lot about Asian folklore and literature as a Chinese language teacher, Tuttle seemed to be a big publisher for Asian topics. But should people look there for, let's say, just because they read a lot in that area, if someone wants to, let's say, write a travel book about Asia, do they just go straight to that publisher?
No, actually, they should really go to a book called How to Find The Guide to Literary Agents.
Okay,
and that's written by the Writers Market.
Okay,
and the Guide to Literary Agents will. Let's say you're going to write a cookbook on lasagna or pasta.
Yeah.
Then there's certain literary agents who maybe specialize in cooking, and in that book, they will give you names of literary agents who specialize in pasta, whatever it is, whatever your topic
That's specific.
Yes. The Guide to Literary Agents will tell you what agents specialize in those topics, in all topics.
And then the agent will find a publisher for you? Or
yes.
That's the way to go.
That's their job.
I see.
And they'll not only find a publisher, they'll negotiate the contract for you. And they are experts in that, and they will do a great job.
Why does it take so long from actually proposing the book until it gets published?
Well, even if you find a publisher, let's say if you found a publisher today,
yes,
it would still take 2 years
Why?
to publish your book, because there is a catalog of books that your publisher has to put your book into this publishing.
Like a line?
It's a book catalog that comes out in every bookstore in America, and also book reviewers, let's say in the New York Post. They all get this book, this book that tells what books are going to be published, say in the year 2020. And so that to create that book, that catalog, it takes a long time. They have to print the catalog. They have to, send it out to all the bookstores, and then the bookstores will decide what books are going to order for, say, 2020.
I see.
And so it's not just, that's why it takes so long.
So, I'm sorry, that even in our digital age, they have to do this in a traditional catalog.
Yes, a catalog of all the books coming out. And then also they have to print your book, and that takes time, because they have to find the distributor who's going to distribute the book for all the bookstores in the United States. So it takes a long time.
I see, because a friend of mine who is looking at writing a book about traveling Asia, he said that, but by then, his advice would be outdated. Wouldn't that be?
Well, see, that's the advantage of self-publishing.
I see.
because you can self-publish and get it out there in maybe 3 months.
I see.
But it's not validated. Like if you had a Simon and Schuster or a special travel.
Or formal?
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
a big one?
Yes. Then the reader will know that it's kind of a real book.
I see.
And also, it's edited better. When you go through a traditional publisher,
Yes.
it's edited better. But see, maybe in that case, in those special cases, if you have like a travel book, let's say to Cuba or something, then maybe it's okay to self-publish. Depends on your audience, who you think would be interested in this. Do you have enough people that you know would be interested in, say, a book on
Traveling
Cuba
to Asia
or travel? Yeah, that you could notify them and tell them the book is available.
And that would be hard with being self-published, but not so hard if you had a book publicist.
Oh, yes, but if you had a whole email list or had a list of people who would be very interested in hearing about this new travel book,
Yes.
and you have enough people that you think you could start the ball rolling, then maybe you could self-publish. I think it depends on the topic. It also depends on who you are. Because if you're a television personality who talks about travel, then you could self-publish because you have so many followers
You can
and a
hand
great
it out.
platform. And then you can almost self-publish. But if you're like the average person, but who's got a great idea, something unique, and a traditional publisher would be interested in publishing this because it's unique, then go the way of the traditional publisher because it's more validated.
So what do you do for your authors? Do you put them on a road tour, or
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, actually, we've done so much, and this is very interesting because when you're working with an author, you become their best friend. I mean, you become their cheerleader. You talk to them every day. You encourage them. Actually, in one case, I'll tell you later, but in one case, we actually saved the life of one of our authors. In another case, I married off an author. She was engaged to, she was a very famous person. She was actually she was a broadcast journalist. She was the first Cuban Hispanic broadcast journalist in the United States.
Oh my!
And she was beautiful, and she was very well known, and she was engaged to a man who owned a coffee plantation in Costa Rica, and she broke off the engagement, and she told me, and she said, "Now who do you know for me? Who can you fix me up with?" So I actually found someone, a doctor in Miami, I fixed her up, and they ended up getting married.
That's not part of your job description.
Yes. So what we do for publicists, we get them interviews with, in the media, like radio, TV, newspapers, and magazines. We help them get, everything. We help them write press releases. We do help set up book tours for them. We work with the media to make sure that if they have a book tour, the media will come to it. We help launch the book, let's say by having a launch party for them.
Yes.
We can do special events.
So much of the book publishing is digital now, and so much of the book PR is on online platforms. Do you help your authors develop a website or knowing what to put on the website? Because how do you make attractive a website, right?
Yes, because they have to know, that's critical, is how to put a website online or to develop a website, because that's how you're going to send people. If they're interested in their book, then you say, go to my website and take a look at what I've written. And on the website, you should have a synopsis of the book. You should have your photo, a good professional photo taken. You should have any press materials that the publicist writes. Let's say writes the press releases, maybe does a media alert, things that will help the reader or the press learn more about the book. And so that should all be on the website.
Should they also have some way people can order the book online?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So they can have a link to Amazon, how to order the book on the website.
So Amazon is a good link to have?
Amazon and the bookstores. But Amazon's important, yeah, critical to, and that's becoming more and more popular as Amazon. So it's, you have to really, and also the book publisher and the publicist can arrange to have something covered by Amazon.
So this book proposal,
yes,
you have to be done first.
Yes.
So even before the book is completely done.
Yes, but not for a novel or not for a fiction book. You just write the book.
Just keep, yeah.
But for the nonfiction book, they do the book proposal first. And a lot of it is because if a literary agent looks at that book proposal, they say, you know what, I love your idea, but let's emphasize this more than that.
So it could change the whole chapter organization.
So rather than writing the whole book, doing it wrong, the agent will guide you and say, I love your idea, but let's focus on this. And so before they go to all the trouble of writing the book proposal is kind of an outline. It's like saying what the book's going to be about.
Yes.
But then you might end up changing it. So that's why the book proposal, it's kind of a first step as to how the book should be organized and what the book is going to be about.
So Lynda, we know someone in common because the author Victoria, excuse me, the author to Victoria Graham, he was interviewed here at Glenview TV.
Yes. Yes, and that guy, Jim Graham, he had a wonderful book, and we did it for that because the book was all about John Kennedy, President Kennedy's boat. So whenever you have a celebrity, and that's something else important here, if you could tie your book to a celebrity, that will get you a long way because the world is the world is celebrity crazy.
Yeah, fascinated, right?
They're fascinated with celebrities. Whether it's Kennedy and Kennedy's boat, or Tom Cruise or whatever, they want to know, what the tie to celebrity is.
Right.
So if you can, go ahead.
Oh yes, and we understand his book was translated to other languages, to German, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Well, if a book is popular, and if the book publisher thinks it's worthy, they want to sell it all over the world.
I see. But that's a publisher decision.
That's the publisher's decision.
Okay. And how have you furthered his book?
In his book, we contacted all the sailing magazines.
Ah, yes.
Because
that's a famous
book was a sailboat.
Boat, yes.
And we also contacted a lot of the Kennedy, they have Kennedy societies and anyone interested in John Kennedy, they want to know more about him.
So they already has pre-established following, like the Queen or the royal interest.
And actually, anything like a society or things that are already established, because if let's say with the Kennedys, Jim Graham could go speak at, let's say, a Kennedy Foundation that's already established, and he just got to contact, let's say, the foundation, and they'll bring him in to speak. So that's the advantage of doing a celebrity book, something tied to a celebrity. Everything's already there for you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I see. But Lynda, what can a Glenview author do to get themselves name out there?
To get exposure in Glenview?
Yes.
Well, you could go to the library and try to get interviewed. The library does bring in all kinds of authors. You could go to, there's Glenview bookstores. You could go to the bookstores and have talk to the bookstore owner and have the owner come in and interview him, and he could do a book signing at the Glenview store. Yes. He could talk to Glenview, even talk to the Glenview newspaper. There's papers. He could, call the editor, tell them about a new book that he's just written, and the Pioneer Press is very helpful, and the Pioneer Press could help them. They're in Glenview. And any connection, like say Glenview, to come here and be interviewed on Off the Shelf, that would be great.
Let's say some kind of public event on Glenview calendar to.
Yes. Oh, right. And if there's some sort of maybe a book event or maybe a Glenview, some sort of, in the summer they might have certain
festivals.
Festivals, yeah. The author can come and take a booth at the festival, and be part of the Glenview, the whole city of Glenview.
Yes, I know we have a wonderful art festival.
Oh, that's great.
And that could be a good place for artist type of books that
yes,
they could
absolutely.
be part of that.
They could take a booth at the art festival, yeah. Because the more people that know about him in Glenview, he's a Glenview author, the more his book will sell.
Well, thank you, Lynda, for those wonderful
You're
ideas.
welcome.
And thank you for watching. Join us next time on Off the Shelf.